Hey, it's Eric G. Around the House is sponsored by Baldwin Hardware. For 75 years, Baldwin Hardware has been known for its first-class quality and craftsmanship in door and cabinetry hardware. As an alumnus of the Baldwin Hardware Design Council, I can say I have seen the details and quality from design to the finished product. If you're looking for a new style and old-world craftsmanship, I can tell you there is only one Baldwin Hardware. Check out what would look great in your home at baldwinhardware.com.
It's Around the House.
One thing about our rig and our system setup is like you said, the problem is that anybody, even yourself, could go out today and buy a rig. And you can be outside somebody's house tomorrow with this science project of mixing chemicals together and putting it in someone's house. And
I think I saw that on Breaking Bad once, but that's a whole other story.
That's right. and not knowing nothing about it, which because this market's not regulated. So that's the sad part about it is you can go out there and get in the business very easily and start doing this business. One thing about our system when we even are launching a new franchise is if you got inexperienced guys that really don't know what they're doing, our system will actually pick up on that.
When it comes to remodeling and renovating your home, there is a lot to know, but we've got you covered. This is Around the House.
Welcome to the Around the House show. This is where we help you get the most out of your home through information and education. Thanks for joining us today. We are going to get into a hot topic right now, which is something we've never really covered on Around the House before. I've got Kevin, and I've also got Chris from Spray Foam Genie. I got two of the best guys in the industry on this. Welcome to Around the House, my friends.
Thanks for having us. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you.
It's going to be great, guys. Well, let's jump in and talk. Kevin, let's start out with you here real quick. Let's talk about your role with Spray Foam Genie so people can put that voice to the name, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. So thanks for the introduction, Eric. My name is Kevin Long, CEO here at Spray Foam Genie. Work alongside with our founder, Chris Ryan, and his twin brother, Keith. A little bit about me. I've grown up in the franchising industry. My dad had been in franchising for about 40 years. And so I got into some different things after college, worked with him kind of coming up in the industry and those types of things. And I was in packaging for about a decade, started a consulting business for a while, and through a couple of different people and a few different channels, was introduced to Chris. And so I had a quick call with Chris, and he started explaining to me what Spray Foam Genie is and all the benefits of the way that him and his brother do things. And so I got on a plane. I headed down to Tuscaloosa. I met Chris and his brother Keith, and right from the beginning, we hit it off, and we knew that we had something special here. When you start to look at the system that Chris built, I knew this was something we could franchise and take it to the next level and becoming one of the fastest growing franchise companies in the country. So it's been a great run. A little bit about my role is basically just making sure that our franchise partners are content, making sure that they're achieving all their goals, both personally and career wise. And my role is just to basically lead the team and make sure that we're leading everybody to success at the end of the day.
So you're herding cats all day long then?
A little bit of that, yeah.
I love my contractor brothers, don't get me wrong, but They all got their own personalities, and that's a handful, my friend.
That's right. But we have a lot of fun while we do it, that's for sure.
Nothing wrong with that. Chris Ryan, founder.
Yep.
Let's talk about what you got going here, because you're the one that started this, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Been in the spray foam industry now for over 16 years. Like I said, I'm Chris Ryan, one of the founders, along with my twin brother Keith Ryan. We've got a heavy construction background. We started out in from electrical, got into paint business, from paint business, got into building houses, from building houses, remodeling houses. Got about 25 plus years in construction. From the remodeling, got into this spray foam installation many years ago when it was new to the industry. Grew it for all these years. Started out very slow, but every year in this business, it's grown. Every single year we've been in it. Figured out some things during the process that there had to be an easier way. Just like any business anyone gets in, you're always thinking, man, there's got to be an easier way to this business. Knew it was a great business. I mean, loved the business because me and my brother had done so many things in the construction industry. So we really liked the business, a very positive business. For one, I mean, the instant gratification from the customer, it's not something they do where they wonder, I mean, is this stuff working? I mean, it's like after we encapsulate an attic that's been 120 degrees plus, and we bring that down to 10 degrees difference in the inside of the home, they notice that immediately. And if you've been living in a house in any amount of time, you kind of know what goes on with that heating and cooling and how it operates. And so with the foam being put in there, it's something you realize immediately. I mean, as soon as we encapsulate and leave the home, it's immediately. And so I had this business and was trying to figure out, what to do with it. Honestly, figured out a way to make it easier. Got with a manufacturer on a rig that changed everything for us for what we'd been dealing with for so many years. Then we built the software around that that rig, and then how we our people, how we worked our people and everything, had an app added in so we could our guys could use an app and communicate back through us. So now we've got an awesome rig. We've got an awesome software that we had built that's proprietary to us. It actually came out of my head, how we put that thing together. And then from there, just didn't know what to do with it. Knew far as our industry, what we were doing, was very different than what was going on out there in the marketplace. But didn't know what to do with that. Had a buddy that traveled all over the world. Explained to him and said, "Man, I've got a great franchise model, man. If you could ever get me tied in with some guys that knew something about it, man, I'm telling you, if they'd hear me out and just let me break this thing down of what we do and what makes us different, they'd see what we have." And so that's how I met Kevin and Kevin's dad, and they flew down, met with us, and we didn't know what to expect with this business. Definitely didn't know that it was going to take fire like it has and taken off the way it has. But yeah, just enjoying the ride, and we've added a lot of great people to our network. And one of our biggest competitive edges is our people. The people that we're bringing into this thing is really vetting those people out and bringing in good people that you're okay with spending the next 10 years plus of life with. Because hey, when somebody buys a franchise, you ain't just buying a franchise. I mean, we're partners. We're going to be in business for a long time. We're going to do life together, and that's what we share. We're going to be doing life together with these guys. So we definitely want to pick people that we don't mind getting on the phone with and going hanging out with, and doing life and doing business together.
Yeah, that's a whole inner circle thing that you guys are kind of getting all married up in a way that, like it or not, good times and bad times, and this is construction, right? So there's always going to be a what happened here or whatever. Every day is not perfect, and if somebody's going to give you those kind of roses, then they're not telling you the whole story. But having a great team is a key.
That's right.
It is. We definitely tout that as our number one advantage with both our franchise partners and our home office staff as well.
That is great. And one of the biggest problems I've seen with spray foam out there is that, and on social media, I've seen a lot of it where people that are untrained or didn't pay attention to any training. I don't know because I wasn't there, but you look at it and go, what happened in that attic space?
Right.
What, did somebody get cans from the Home Depot and go in there and try to do it? I mean, it just looked absolutely like a hot mess. And you can see how, even for somebody that's not trained like me, went, oh, that must have been somebody's first day.
Right.
That's right.
Right. And that's part of the reason we knew that when we had something here, because of the way that we spray foam, the way that Chris put that rig and that software together. Chris, if you want to talk a little bit about how our software system allows us to always be spraying quality foam. In fact, it shuts down if the ratio mix isn't on point.
Yep. One thing about our rig and our system setup is like you said, the problem is that anybody, even yourself, could go out today and buy a rig, and you can be outside somebody's house tomorrow with this science project of mixing chemicals together and put it into someone's house. And not
I think I saw that on Breaking Bad once, but that's a whole other story.
That's right. and not knowing nothing about it, which because this market's not regulated. So that's the sad part about it is you can go out there and get in the business very easily and start doing this business. One thing about our system when we even are launching a new franchise is if you got inexperienced guys that really don't know what they're doing, our system will actually pick up on that. Like if our chemical gets off ratio, our system will shut down. If it gets below a 99.1% ratio, so if you were spraying and you don't know about spraying, but if you was out there spraying the day and this machine got off ratio, ours would just shut down to keep us from not spraying off ratio foam in someone's home. We also have a partnership with a company called Ace. So we come do your job for you. This company monitors our data. So, we have no control over that company. They monitor that data. If it was off ratio and we don't pass that, then hey, we have to go fix that job. So we pretty much what we've done, we've regulated ourselves in a market that's not regulated. And so that way we don't have none of our franchisees or no one out there that we have to. One thing of my worry was when you try to scale this, how do you keep the quality? How do you keep guys from not spraying off ratio out there? And that is what we've created, a way to monitor it anywhere in the world to make sure that we're monitoring that data on every job. Even our software is so in sync with that rig that if a guy went and oversprayed a job, me sitting here, I could look at the data and tell you, yep, they oversprayed the job, and really zoom in on the problems out there. But we've really, with our Ace and with our rig, we've set that up to where we're not spraying off ratio, where everyone, if you're paying us, you're going to get a quality job. And we're not just going to say that, we're going to back that up with data that we're going to give you to show you that our rig was on ratio every gallon that we sprayed while we was at your house. And then we're also going to give you this report from Ace, which is a third-party company that audits us, that we pay for, to make sure every one of our jobs is audited and done right, so that you don't look at a job like you said, when you see a job online, you're like, what happened there? It looks like a bomb went off, Exactly. Yeah. And you don't see that, with our company and our guys, because we are definitely homed in on quality, and we're definitely homed in on having ourselves held accountable by a third party, so that we are regulated in a market that's not regulated.
Man, that is smart, because, it's not that I want government regulations to get involved with this stuff, because it never seems to work out exactly as planned. But when you can create a system like that to make sure that every job is done with quality, you've kind of got, the end consumer in mind there, which is nice. And quite frankly, you're not having to go out and clean up jobs that are a hot mess either. So it's a win for everybody.
That's exactly right.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so my question, let's talk about foam for a minute, because, most people go, oh, there's spray foam, but they have no idea what that actually means and what the applications are. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about here just for a minute and see what, a little education on Spray Foam 101 for our listeners.
Yep.
Chris, that's right in your wheelhouse.
And because that's the thing about it, it's just like you said, people say, oh, I've had spray foam. But don't really know the details of spray foam, really know that about how many different manufacturers out there, and that how many companies are out there that have a product that's really not even been approved yet, but are letting guys go out there and test it. Like I said, it's a market that's not regulated. So you could easily get a company that's mixing some chemical up and let you be their guinea pig and try that out. But you're trying that out in somebody's house, I've always been a firm believer in, even before we developed this rig and our software, I was always really tight on the chemicals. I wanted to know what was going on with the chemicals. I wanted to track the yields of the product. I wanted to see what was going on out there. And I found so many things over the years that I was a guinea pig, and that I was having people, they were making products and sending to me. How am I supposed to know? I'm just the installer. I didn't make the stuff. But then
you weren't the chemist sitting there playing with it, right?
No, exactly. No. So it was very important to me when I realized what was going on, that I would come up with a way that I could track that and make sure that I would never become that guinea pig. And over the years, I've caught many manufacturers, and it's crazy how many guys will call you or companies will call you that's just got in the business and says, hey, I'll give you this product if you'll try it out. And I'm like, you'll give it? I'm not putting that in someone's home until we do.
Yeah.
We'll test it in our shop and check that out. So sometimes customers have to be worried about these prices they get. You know, this is not a labor driven business. It's all chemical. It's driven by the chemical. Yep. That's what most of the price is. So if that price is really just the cheapest thing ever, well, you better be, you know, that's a warning right there that, hey, there may be something going on. That may be a product that's not approved. So for a customer base, you really want to find out who's the manufacturer. You at least want to get the technical data sheets of the product that's being put in your home, because that's very important to know what is going in my home. That if there is a problem with the product, you know, can I reach out to a manufacturer to know, hey, who this manufacturer is? And even maybe checking the manufacturer to make sure they even sell to that person. If you're leery of the person that's putting your foam in, you might want to check out if they're even buying that product from that company, because all foam's not the same. If you look at it and you don't know what you're looking at, you don't know what you don't know. But us as experts, you know, we'll look at it, we'll tell you, hey, that's off ratio. And I'll tell you, the scary thing about it is you can't see foam when it's 25% off ratio. You can't see that. That's by the eye. You're not going to be able to see that, but it's off ratio. And so this is a lot of money you're spending on your home. You want this to last. You want it to perform. And so you got to make sure that you got a manufacturer that'll stand behind their products. Just a good manufacturer has been out there many years producing these products, and not it's just some off name or somebody just might have been in the business in the past 9 months. And there's a good chance you're using a product that really hadn't been tested out there. But guys will jump right on that because they'll jump on that for that price. They'll lower their price to get the job, and they don't care about, you know, it lasting the long haul. Here at Spray Foam Genie, we care about this lasting the long haul. We care about that if you do have a problem, we can back it up with the data so that it does hold the manufacturer accountable. You know, you need something to hold the manufacturer accountable for what's going on. And that is something that we can always hold the manufacturer accountable. I'll let Kevin even speak on with Spray Foam Genie, our relationship with Rhino Linings, because everybody knows who Rhino Linings is.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. No, we have a great partnership with Rhino Linings. In fact, the founder of Rhino Linings is one of our partners at Spray Foam Genie. He's one of our investors. Oh, cool. And he's our fifth partner here at Spray Foam Genie. So it affords us the opportunity to be very tight in terms of their R&D team and their innovation team. To Chris's point, when they do come out with a new foam, we can test it, make sure that it's a good product that we feel comfortable giving to our franchise owners and our franchisees, and also in turn giving to our end use customers at the end of the day. It also affords us the opportunity to have best in class market pricing and things like that as well, because we're treated as their top customer because of the partnership that we have. We also use eco-friendly and sustainable products as well. So not only are we huge on the energy efficiency side of things in terms of reducing your energy consumption on a monthly basis with the foam, but we're also using water-based closed cell and open cell foam to again go back to that sustainability and energy efficiency.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest consumer concerns is they just don't know, and they look at it and go, okay, what is this chemical that I'm putting in my house? Right. And I think you just answered that really well. Is for some people you just don't know, but you guys have a water-based system, it sounds like, that works really well.
That's correct. Yep. And so we mandate that in all of our locations across the U.S. Right now we have several locations that are open. We have another about 35 that are getting ready to open in the next few months here, and continuing to grow. We're in all the major metropolitan areas right now across the U.S. And then, like I said, we're adding more every week. We just signed on. We're starting to get a good footprint in the Northeast with Philadelphia, Boston, and North Jersey as well. So we're continuing to grow and having a good time while we do it.
Yeah, we are as well on the radio side. We just added 3 stations up in that area ourselves here. So
that's great.
Good times up in that area.
Yes, sir.
So what's the difference, for the homeowner that's out there looking out, or the contractor that's doing a remodel? What's the differences from a consumer level from the open cell to closed cell? I know that's one of the confusions for many people.
Yeah. here's the open cell product is a sound barrier product, mainly used in residential homes, in attics and exterior walls. Closed cell is a moisture barrier foam, mainly used when you're spraying like in crawl spaces, metal structures, anywhere where you would have condensation or anything of that. That's where you would use closed cell foam. Closed cell foam is a very dense product. I mean, if you tapped on it, it's like tapping on a metal. It's got a R value of 7 per inch. So a lot of times you can get by with just using 2 inches of the product.
Yeah.
But from an insulation standpoint, neither one of the products is outperforms from an insulation standpoint. It's just they're made for different applications. And so we just spray the open cell, even though it's a 3.7 to 3.9 per inch on the product. We just spray it to the thickness so that they do the same thing from an insulation standpoint. So when you're looking at the products, it's just one of them's a moisture barrier, one of them's more of a sound barrier. And so whatever you're spraying that against, you want to know. One thing about attics, that attics, the reason you want to use open cell foam is because if you have a leak, you need to know it. You need that water to come through. You need to fix the leak. You don't need to mask the leak because that's wood. Wood will rot out over time. So it's like you need to. So because one thing about here at Spray Foam Genie that with all these locations that we're big on is education. We're going to educate the customer about the 2 products, just like you asked about, so that they really understand, why you want this product. Over here, we're not looking at it as, oh, let me sell you closed cell because we're going to make more money. We don't look at it. Let me explain to you about the 2 products and why you'd want to use each one. At the end of the day, you're the customer, you make the ultimate decision. But we're going to give you the education on it, and we're going to educate the customers on ratio mixes. Why that's very important that the ratio mix is that the chemical is mixed correctly, and we're big on that. So the more locations we open up, the more we're going to educate the public on really what's going on with spray foam insulation, and that's one of our biggest goals here at Spray Foam Genie.
So my question is for the consumer out there, if that ratio of the mix is off, does that mean that the R value is not going to be the same as what it should be with that? Or what is the end result of that ratio being off?
Think about it like this. If you got 2 products that's being mixed and I can mix those equally, that means I'm going to make that product the best it can be made. So if I make the product the best it can be made, that means it's going to hold up for the longest long haul. It's going to be the best it can be. So if it's off ratio, and just say it was like way off ratio, you may not have no R value. I mean, it could be A rich or B rich, and the integrity of the foam now it doesn't have no integrity. So it really matters about when you're spending this kind of money on your home is to make sure that it's being done right, and that there is that the company that's doing it is trying to track how that's being mixed. They have something to go off of, that they're going to give you something paperwork wise to prove that what they done is right. This ain't a product that you want to look at and just say, that company's been doing it for X amount of years. I mean, no problems yet, because you might be the one problem. And this is a product that you don't want to have a problem. You don't want to be tearing this stuff out. I mean, you can look online and see the stories out there where people had to tear it out, and that's where foam has got a bad rep. But just know, it's just because the foam, there was the ratio mix, they wasn't paying attention to the ratio mix, and it got off ratio. That's what caused the problem. It's an installer problem most of the time, not the manufacturer or the equipment. It's the guys installing just being inexperienced and really not understanding about the ratio mixes of the product.
That makes sense. And like we were talking about earlier about the closed cell foam in a roof structure. I've seen it where somebody went in and did that, sprayed it in there, thought they were doing the right thing, and they get that roof leak, and all of a sudden that foam did a killer job on stopping moisture coming through there.
Right.
But man, you got some plywood issues because that's like being an underwater dock.
Yeah.
It's just completely soaked, and then there's no place for you to track it down until you're up on the roof and going, why do I got a sponge on my roof up here?
That's correct.
Right.
You're exactly right. Exactly right.
So are there places that that you don't recommend putting spray foam, or does it work pretty much on all exterior places within a home?
Yep. When you're trying to insulate your home, let's talk about a home. I mean, it's so important that with the foam is to do your exterior walls in your attic. Get a full encapsulation. If I can control what's going on in my encapsulation and I'm not pulling a lot of unconditioned air back into my home, I'm controlling what's in the home. Now that unit's doing what it's designed to do, is draw the air in, dehumidify it, put it back out, condition the air. So once I've conditioned the air in a spray foam home, it's conditioned. What happens in a traditional home is you're constantly got all this. I'll tell you like this: fiberglass insulation and the other types is all about ventilation, whereas spray foam is about encapsulation. And so what it is, when I encapsulate that, now I control what's in my environment. The other traditional way, I'm bringing all this unconditioned air constantly into my home, and I'm trying to condition it. The problem is I have to keep doing that over and over and over every single day. That's why when it's summertime, you have that unit set and you can't never get it down to the temperature. Well, it's because you're bringing out in so much outside air inside that you're constantly having to condition that over and over and over. But if I could encapsulate that, now I can control what's in my environment. Now the unit's going to do what it's designed to do, pull the air in, condition it, and you just don't have to repeat that process just over and over and over. It gets it to the temperature, unit shuts off, saves the life of the unit, cuts down on the dust in the house. I mean, it just has so many benefits to get that heat during the summertime out of that attic. And then during the wintertime, that heat rises up. What's happening in a traditional home, it's just going right out of the house. And so now I've got it encapsulated, so that heat rises up, pushes it back down. So if you jumped in your attic during the wintertime, you'd say, oh, the heat's running in here for sure, But the glory of that is that even though that it is conditioning the air in the attic, it's not cost. It still drives the cost down 30 to 50%. So you reap such a benefit. The foam pays for itself. I mean, you're paying the power bill no matter what. And so by doing this, you cut it down, you pay for it. I mean, the house is so much more comfortable to live in too. I mean, there's nothing like living in a foam home. I can tell you, once you lived in one and you can get that temperature where you want it, you ain't going back and living in a traditional house where you gotta get back to dealing with insulation problems. This is a fix for your insulation problems, and for a heating and cooling guy, it's definitely good for his business.
Oh, yeah. Chris, I was out doing a segment for my TV show here about a month ago, and I was out at this old 1920s house here in Portland, Oregon, where I was at. And it's kind of a historical house, and they're going to be doing a lot of renovations on it. And we did an energy audit on it. So we put the blower door test.
Yes.
And it was like when we had the blower door and we're putting a little bit of the dust, smoke, powder around the outlets. That air had to have been moving 30 miles an hour as it was going past, because it was just flying right past. And I'm like, wow, the air leakage of that house was epic. And it just showed you back in the day, especially in those older homes where, they had no control of the air in that, and it didn't have attic insulation. You can just go down the list. It was just basically a timber framed house that had siding and lath and plaster on the inside, and there was no insulation value at all. And the air coming out of that place, it had to have been horrible to heat in the wintertime, because that heat is just piling right out the top of that like a chimney.
That's absolutely correct. It's like this. If and with traditional homes with insulation, I share this with customers because they'll get caught up on the R values of traditional insulation. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, we're gonna put an R100 in your attic and in your walls, and they're gonna be like, oh my God, yes, that's gonna be awesome. But we're not gonna put a front door or a back door on the house. And how do you think that's gonna work? Well, when you take all the air leaks in a house, like you said, and you put a blower door test, that's what it's like. It's like having a door just wide open, and now you're trying to condition that space. So if we can encapsulate that, stop that airflow. You do an energy audit after a completely foamed home. I mean, it's below what it should be. I mean, it's tight. And then a customer says, oh, well, the house has got to breathe. Well, because that's traditional thinking that a house has to breathe. What it is that that unit breathes for the house. That unit's taking that air and dehumidified and putting it back out. It's doing the breathing for the home. So a home doesn't. I hear that all the time. It's got to breathe. It's got to breathe. And that now with the foam is so advanced now. I mean, heating and cooling guys, they put the fresh air systems on the units for the fresh air deal. But it's like this: if you're living in a home and you're opening that door several times a day, going in and out, I mean, you're bringing fresh air in the home. So that's just.
And then the ERV, the Energy Recovery Ventilator Systems, is building code in a lot of places in the country. Even on remodels now, if I do a kitchen remodel like up in Washington State, I have to put one in the house, even though it has nothing to do with my kitchen. It's just kind of the new way of doing stuff. And because we are making homes tighter and tighter and not wasting energy like we've been doing. I mean, great example. I was working last weekend on my house here, which is a 1977 one. I was doing some siding repairs. I pulled the siding off, and I have that, R11 fiberglass Owens Corning insulation from 1977.
That's right.
I'm like, wow, look at those black chunks right there. That's a cool air filter.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so anytime you see those cobwebs and the black on the insulation, you now have air infiltration right there. It's just what it is.
It is.
Yep.
It is. It's so common.
And that's in a newer house. I mean, that's, 60 years difference from the one I was talking about before, and it was still moving through. And so that's where I think the spray foam really has its application for really trying to tighten that stuff up. And I think it's even smarter for people that maybe have that 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s home with that garage that's down below and that bonus room over the top that's always too hot and too cold.
Yes.
There's ways to fix that now.
There he is. One thing about the foam too, if you have hot spots, cold spots in home, once you usually get that attic encapsulated, it usually fixes those problems in homes immediately, for sure.
Yeah. How does that stuff, I know one of the fears that I've had from people that have brought it up to me is how does it work with a fire? If you have a house fire, is that a concern?
It's not, honestly, what happens with a house when it catches a fire, it always, when it gets up to the attic, it usually just ignites because of all that. Like I said earlier, you got so much ventilation that's drawing in from the eaves to your ridge vent. Yep. So it's got that flow of air. So what happens with that, when a fire hits that attic, it ignites because of that air. Well, with a spray foam house, it's encapsulated. So when if it comes up in there, hits that, it's not going to burn near as quickly as a traditional home would. And I've seen that. I mean, I seen one where the water heater got hit by lightning and caught a fire. It really only burned right there above it, and then it went out. It smoked the house, but I'm telling you, it went out. But if that had been a traditional house in a traditional attic with that much airflow, it would have burnt the house to the ground. And so it does have
that makes sense.
Benefits from that standpoint there. And you can look it up. There's several stories where, houses are caught fire, and when it's hit that attic, it's just gone out because of. Yeah,
usually when it hits that attic space, it's over, and it's almost like putting the lid on your charcoal barbecue and closing the vents, right? You're just smoking it out and trying to put the fire out that way.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So if somebody wanted to, let's say we've got a lot of contractors that listen to this show a lot. If somebody wanted to become one of the franchisees for you guys, what's the process of that?
Yeah, the process it's very easy. You just go to our website. There's a franchise opportunity section. Fill out a form. We'll get in touch with you and kind of take you through the entire process of what it takes to become a franchise owner. We'll walk you through our investor model, which is very exciting for the marketplace right now, where if you're looking to make an investment, we'll essentially run the business for you absentee. We help you get a GM and a salesperson and a lead spray tech, and those people are being held accountable by our home office staff so that we're running the business the right way. But that's a great advantage for somebody that's looking to get into franchising without having to spend 9 to 5 every day running the business, we'll help run that business for you from that standpoint. And so, you just go to our website, sprayfoamgenie.com. There's a franchise opportunity section. Fill it out, and then you'll be on a Zoom call with Chris and I learning more about the business.
All right. Now, if you're a consumer out there and you're thinking about getting spray foam, what are the things you want to look at from a consumer point of view before they go over to the Spray Foam Genie site? And they're going to get, like a lot of people get 2 or 3 bids out there. And of course, they see your bid. And what should they be looking at? I know we talked about the foam and stuff a little bit earlier, but what should people be looking at if they're out there shopping for spray foam and thinking about calling you guys up?
Well, one of the things I need to be looking at when you're pricing against us between the competition is how long has the company been in business? Who's their manufacturer of their chemical? Where's that coming from? And making sure they're not just jumping from company to company to company. If they're doing that, that means they're just chasing pricing. And I know to a customer standpoint, might be, well, I want a better price. I'm glad they're jumping around. That's not good, because you're trying to find a product that's consistent that you can stand behind. So one thing about here at Spray Foam Genie, we don't jump around. And I've never done that even before the franchise deal. I like to find products that are consistent, a good manufacturer that'll stand behind the products, and that, hey, that the guy that's installing this, does he know how it's being mixed? Does he have are you going to get anything at the end of the job other than just an invoice? Or is he going to be transparent with you and let you know how many gallons he put in your home, how many gallons the job calls for? And was it done right? It is the most important question to ask is, how are you tracking your ratio mixes of how this chemical is being mixed? And you're going to get all kinds of answers from that. I mean, the most common one's gonna be, I've been doing this, 18 or 20 years. I know what I'm doing. I've got tons of customers out there. That's one of the biggest ones. That is not.
I've been doing it wrong for 20 years. Watch me.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm not saying these guys are just like their product's not close enough on ratio where it's not a good product. I'm not out here trying to knock on every company that's doing
No, not at all.
All I'm saying is that you need to know, because what if you're the one that there's a problem with? What if you're the one?
Yeah.
So you just want to make sure that the company understands about ratio mixes and how this stuff's being mixed out there in their trailer. Do they have something to hold themselves accountable that they're filling out every day, a way to track that? And that's one thing with us. We're very transparent about what we're doing, how we're doing it. We're not just going to tell you all this information and not back it up. We do have the paperwork to back up what we're doing. Our rig keeps up with that data. Our third party keeps up with that data. That data comes in on our software. I mean, it's really how we track everything. That software has things built in that if there was any kind of issue at all, and our issues are issues that, if it was undersprayed, we're going to pick up on that immediately, because we're not going to underspray a customer's job. If it was oversprayed, if there was a problem with the chemical, our software is going to pick that up. We have ways to track that with the numbers that it'll throw a flag up. So we know that we're really in sync on what we're doing to make sure that, hey, you're spending a lot of money on your home. We want to make sure it's done right. We want to be able to back that up, that there was ever an issue, that the manufacturer would have to stand behind what we're doing. Because what happens is, if with the competition, if you had a problem with your home, you're going to call the manufacturer first and say, I got a problem with this. I need y'all to come out here and take care of it. They're going to say, who sprayed the job? They're going to call that company up, and they're going to ask them, Hey, would y'all keep up with anything on what y'all done each day? How much you spray, what the temperatures was? Did y'all keep up with anything? Nah, man, I've been doing this a long time. I know what I'm doing. Okay, no big deal. They're going to call the customer back and say, hey, well, I'm sorry. The guy that installed it didn't keep up with no data. There's no proof to show that it actually falls on us as a manufacturer. We manufacture it. They installed it. It could be installed incorrectly, and it could be an off ratio. So Now it's the name blame game that, hey, whose fault is it? And that you don't want to be in that spot there of wondering whose fault.
Nobody wins.
You want to know that, hey, I'm covered at the end of the day.
And it's equally as important for your contractors out there in the audience as well, to know that when your job is done, when your commercial building's done, you're doing a dormitory or a hospital or things like that, we're going to give you that report to show you exactly what was sprayed and exactly the ratio mix each and every time, which is huge for the inspectors and the contractors as well.
Oh, just even as the business owner on the liability side going, see, we did it right. Boom, here's the paperwork that shows it. Yep. That's money right there. And it gives that peace of mind to the homeowner, the building owner, the inspector, the job site superintendent, all the way down.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
So, guys, where do people track you down? What's the best place to find you guys?
Best place to find us is, again, that's sprayfoamgenie.com. We have a map up there to show you all the locations that we have across the United States. We will be in Oregon, hopefully very soon as well. But yeah, you go on there, you fill out your form. We have a call center and then a lead estimator in each one of our locations that's local to the area. And so they'll come out and get you that estimate, and we'll take it from there. But yeah, just go to the website, fill out the form, and we'll get in touch with you ASAP.
All right. Is there anything we missed today, guys, that we didn't talk about?
I think we covered it.
I think we did. And
right.
We really appreciate the time, Eric. We appreciate you having us on. This was a lot of fun for us to jump on with you today and talk spray foam.
Hey, I appreciate it. Chris Ryan, Kevin Long, Spray Foam Genie. Check these guys out. And maybe if you need to have a franchise here in Oregon, guys, you know who to call now. So I think there's a great business opportunity that's in my backyard at least, right?
That's absolutely right. We'd love to have you as a partner. That'd be great.
All right, guys, there we go. I'm Eric G., and you've been listening to Around the House.
Radio, take my hand, I know where to go. All over the radio with you.
Hey, it's Eric G. from Around the House. Are you planning a decking or siding project this year? If you are, you've got to check out my friends at Millboard. Millboard is a completely different kind of composite decking and cladding that enhances outdoor spaces with enduring distinction. Hand-molded from the finest oak, it realistically mimics the natural grain and color of premium hardwood. If you're looking for something that doesn't look like plastic and instead real wood, check out millboard.com. Make sure and check out that interview we did just a few weeks back. That's millboard.com.